Hey everyone, Michelle Zenisek here. Sorry, I'm popping in with video. I'm using video more and more to communicate with people, and I just I wanted to say that I had somewhat of an epiphany when I was going through some posts in one of the virtual assistant groups, and it had to do with pricing and it was someone from another country who obviously is paid a lower rate, and I can tell you that if you don't see in these Facebook groups, these virtual assistants who are paid $5 an hour, they don't like it, but they feel like they're forced to do that because nobody will hire them if they don't. And I mean, I don't know how to solve that problem. Other than for people in those countries, a lot of people, even in those virtual assistant groups, they argue that, cost of living is so much lower, and that may be true, but it doesn't mean that they should be paid something that they don't even agree with. They don't even agree with it. But this particular post was a woman that, she often gets pushback from people because they research the minimum wage in their country before they talk to her. And so then when she gives them her rate, then they say, well, this is what your minimum wage is there. Why are you charging that much? And, it really, I just had an epiphany. And it's not that I've always known that this was wrong, but I finally realized, we have a minimum wage here in the United States as well. But do I think that we should be taking on work for that rate? Absolutely not. I mean, you're not applying for a job at McDonald's, and even McDonald's pays higher than minimum wage, I believe. I know Walmart does. I mean, so that is the attitude we all have, no matter where you're from, is that we aren't charging based on minimum wages. We're charging based on our skill set. And same thing with people that we work with. I work with a lot of business coaches and health coaches and fitness coaches, and they don't. Does anybody go to them and say, "Oh, your rate's too high"? Wage where you are is, much lower than. No. So why is it? And I think, obviously it's a stigma around admin work, which is seeking out our help, right? So ultimately, you're going to have people who, only want to pay. Even in the U.S., they think, why should I pay you more than $10 an hour? Which is, if it's not worth it to you, I mean, we have to. It's all about self-worth. We have to know our worth, and if we know that we're worth more than that, we have to back and say no, and we have to be willing to let those clients walk away. And sometimes that's hard. We're struggling, and maybe we and now we're wondering how we're going to make ends meet. That happens. I know it does. I've been there. Okay. But just believe that if whether you believe in the law of attraction or whatever it is you believe in, I'm a Christian. I don't necessarily believe in the law of attraction itself. I believe in the principles around it. And that is that we are going to, we're going to attract what we put out there. And if we are, and it doesn't mean that if you talk to someone who is, only wants to pay you $10 an hour, that you've attracted that. Unfortunately, you're just going to encounter those people, and there's just no way around it. But if we stand true to ourselves and stand firm in what we know that we're worth, then we need to and say no to what is just not acceptable, then that's okay. I mean, there's always going to be someone who will take that person at that low, and you can't stop that. You can't stop that. But all you can do is say, nope, that's not for me. I am not taking, and I'm worth more than that. So no, if that's what you want, because the reality is you expect the world and then some from you. And then they're not going to want, doing as much as you should be doing for them. It's those people who don't want to pay very much who expect you to do more than is humanly possible. Anyway, I can go off on this tangent for a long time, but the point is that when people make those statements about why you charge so much, say because I'm worth it. Plain and simple. I do, this is what I do for a living. I'm good at what I do. And that's what it is. And you can talk about your background or whatever you want to say. And even if you're a newer virtual and you maybe don't have the skill set, so to speak. I mean, honestly, as a virtual assistant, really there is no specific skill set for a virtual assistant, right? I mean, you can be a virtual assistant that is an executive assistant, or you can be a virtual assistant that does graphic design. I mean, it's really not about skill set. It's virtual assistant is more of an industry than it is a title. And so as long as we are doing work we know how to do and we know we're good at, there's just not much more to say about it. And I mean, if you're a newer VA, as I've talked about before, you might start out at a lower rate, but you should regularly increase that. I mean, I have in my project management system, I have a task every quarter that comes up that says raise your rates. And, so every quarter you should be raising your rates. And obviously you want to try to get away from hourly. You want to try to do package where possible, but as you're starting out, maybe hourly is what works for you. That might be, but as you kind of figure out what you want to offer and what you want to do, but ultimately, we want to try to work towards having package rates and get away from the hourly as much as you can. But just know your worth and know that you're worth more than minimum wage. You're worth more than $15 an hour. You're worth more than $25 an hour. It's because really what it boils down to is, if we accept something lower than what we know we should take, that means that we're not going to be able to cover the expenses that go with running this. And that's the reality. And if people don't want to recognize that we're business owners as well, then that's on them. I'm not here to convince everybody what they should or shouldn't be doing. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I hope that my message got across even with my rambling. And I took a week off, so you didn't hear from me last week. I was in Tennessee. I live in Wisconsin, but I went to Tennessee and visited family, and it was just nice to get away. And so now I'm back, and I had that epiphany, and I wanted to share it with you all. And I hope everyone has a great week. We'll talk soon.